I stood in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom, still wearing my hospital bracelet. The room looked completely different. The walls I had painted green were now covered in bright pink wallpaper. My photos were gone, replaced with pictures of my sister-in-law, Amanda. Even my bed, my expensive memory foam mattress, was buried under shiny pillows and unicorn toys. "This is her room now," my mother-in-law Margaret said with a smirk. She stood behind Amanda, resting her hands on her shoulders like she had won something. "We thought it was time for some changes." I stood still, careful not to hurt my stomach, which was still healing from surgery. I had just spent a week in a hospital after an emergency operation. Coming home to this was a shock, but maybe I should have expected it. "Interesting timing," I said calmly, though my mind was racing. This wasn't just about a room. Margaret had been trying to push me out of this house for years. Amanda spun around in my grandmother's old vanity chair. "Mom thought this would be perfect for me while I look for a job in the city," she said sweetly. "It's so much better than that tiny guest room." I saw Margaret watching my reaction in the mirror. She had never liked me. In her eyes, I wasn't good enough for her son, Michael. I didn't come from a wealthy family, and no matter how hard I worked, she never respected me. "And where are my things?" I asked, already guessing the answer. "Oh, we put them in the basement," Margaret said. "Most of it was old anyway. Amanda needs space." I nodded, trying to stay calm. "And Michael? What does he think about this?" Amanda hesitated, but Margaret spoke quickly. "Michael understands that family helps each other. Amanda is going through a tough time." Right? By tough time, she meant Amanda had cheated on her fiancé and got kicked out of her apartment. But Margaret always defended her daughter. I stepped further into the room, feeling the stitches in my stomach pulse slightly. "Well, this is unexpected," I said. "But timing is everything." Margaret's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" I smiled, but not kindly. "Nothing. Just something to think about." I turned to leave, then stopped. "Oh, Amanda, be careful with that vanity. The left drawer sticks sometimes." As I walked downstairs, I heard them whispering behind me. They thought they had won, that I would give up. But they had no idea what was coming. I sat down in my home office, the one room they hadn't touched. My laptop was right where I had left it. Good. This room held all the important documents, and I had been preparing for something like this for months. I opened my email. 3 days, that's all I needed. I had set this plan in motion long ago, after Margaret's last attempt to control my life. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Michael. "Just heard from Mom. Hope you're okay with the room situation. Amanda really needs our support right now." I stared at the message, feeling a mix of disappointment and determination. Michael always tried to please everyone. But this time he had made the wrong choice. "It's fine," I texted back. "Everything is exactly where it needs to be." I pulled out a folder from my safe, running my fingers over the important papers inside. The house deed, insurance documents, and the one paper that would change everything. 3 days, I whispered to myself. Just 3 days. Upstairs, Amanda laughed loudly as she rearranged more furniture. Let them enjoy this moment. In 3 days, they would realize they had made a huge mistake. The next morning, I woke up on a couch in the living room. Loud music blasted from upstairs. Amanda's music. My stomach hurt as I sat up. A painful reminder that I was supposed to be resting. Instead, I was stuck here while Amanda took over my bedroom. Margaret walked in, dressed in her fancy clothes. "Oh good, you're awake. Amanda needs to use the shower, so you'll have to wait." I checked my phone. 7:15 a.m. 2 days and 16 hours left. "Actually," I said, standing up slowly, "I have an appointment this morning." Margaret frowned. "An appointment? Shouldn't you be resting?" "It's just a quick meeting with my lawyer, nothing too tiring." I kept my voice light. Margaret's face changed for a second. Was that fear? But she quickly covered it up. "Lawyer? What lawyer?" "Oh, just updating some documents after my hospital stay. Normal stuff." I grabbed my things, enjoying the way she shifted uncomfortably. As I walked toward the door, Margaret called after me. "Does Michael know about this?" I turned back and smiled. "He will." At the law office, my friend Patricia Chen was waiting. She had known me since college, and she had seen enough of Margaret's behavior to understand the situation. "Everything's ready," Patricia said, sliding a folder across the desk. Are you sure? Once we file these, there's no going back. I looked through the papers. They took over my bedroom while I was in the hospital, Patty. If I don't stop them now, they won't stop until I'm completely pushed out. And Michael? Still refusing to stand up to them. I sighed. He thinks if he ignores the problem, it'll go away. But this time he's wrong. Patricia nodded. All right, I'll file these today. They'll get the notification in about 48 hours. Perfect. When I got home, Amanda was on my couch, surrounded by expensive shopping bags. She didn't even look up from her phone. Mom said you went to see a lawyer, she said, pretending not to care but clearly curious. Just routine paperwork, I said, heading to my office. I had to check if phase 2 was ready. You know, Amanda called after me. Mom thinks you're planning something, but it won't work. This is our house now. I stop at my office door. Our house. Yeah, she said smugly. Mom says Michael is the only one with a real career, so technically everything belongs to him. And we're his real family. I thought about the documents Patricia was filing, the plan I had set in motion months ago. Interesting, I said before closing the door behind me. That evening, Michael finally came home. He found me in my office, working on my laptop. Hey, he said, hesitating. Mom said you went to see a lawyer? I looked up at him, really looked at him. My husband of 5 years. The man who never stood up to his mother. The man who let his sister take over our bedroom. Yes, I did. He ran a hand through his hair, looking nervous. Look, I know the bedroom situation isn't great, but it's only temporary. Amanda's going through a rough time. I cut him off. When I was in the hospital, did you know what they were planning? His silence told me everything. Right, I said, turning back to my laptop. You should know things are going to change soon. What does that mean? He asked, his voice uneasy. In 36 hours, your mother and sister are going to learn some interesting things about property ownership and legal rights. He tried to laugh. Come on, you're overreacting. Mom's just helping Amanda get back on her feet. I shut my laptop and stood up, feeling the stitches pull slightly. No, Michael. Your mother is trying to push me out, and you're letting her. But what none of you know is that I've been keeping records. Every time they move my things, every manipulative comment, every attempt to take over. And in 36 hours, all of it is going to matter. His face paled. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe you should tell them to start packing, because when those papers arrive, everything will change. You're bluffing, he said, but his voice shook. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a thick envelope. Remember last year when your mom tried to sell my grandmother's antiques while we were on vacation? That's when I started preparing. This has everything, photos, videos, legal documents. In 36 hours, it all becomes public record. Michael looked at the envelope, then at me. For the first time, he looked truly afraid. What have you done? He whispered. I sat back down, calm and in control. I protected myself, since you wouldn't. The letter arrived exactly when Patricia said it would. I was in my office when I heard Margaret's loud, angry voice. What is this? What have you done? I walked into the living room. Margaret stood there, shaking, holding the papers. Amanda was nearby, looking pale. Michael sat on the couch, his head in his hands. Oh good, I said calmly. You got the notice. Margaret's hands trembled. This says that I own this house? I finished for her. Yes, it does. Amanda gasped. That's impossible. This is Michael's house. I shook my head. No, it's not. Last year, when Margaret tried to sell my grandmother's antiques, I realized I needed to protect myself. So I bought Michael's share of the house. He signed the papers himself. Michael lifted his head, his face pale. The refinancing documents, the ones you said were just updating our mortgage. Exactly, I said. You signed over your part of the house to me. It's all legal. Even your mother signed as a witness. Margaret's face turned white. I never signed. Check page 3, I said. See? Right under witness. Remember when you rushed to sign those HOA papers I brought home? You should have read them more carefully. They all went silent. It finally hit them. I had outsmarted them. I crossed my arms. The second set of papers lists every time you damaged my property, including taking over my bedroom. You can't kick us out, Amanda yelled. We're family. Actually, I can, and I am. I looked at my watch. You have 24 hours to leave. Anything left behind will be thrown out. Margaret turned to Michael. Are you just going to let her do this to us? Michael sat still, finally understanding everything. You planned this, he said softly. No, I corrected him. I prepared. That's different. I hoped I wouldn't have to do this, but when your mother and sister took over our bedroom while I was in the hospital, they crossed the line. Margaret scoffed. We were trying to help. No, you were trying to push me out. You've been trying since the day I married Michael. But I'm not someone you can bully away. I worked hard for this house, and I protected myself. I took out my phone. The police are on speed dial. You can leave now, or they can remove you in 24 hours. Your choice. Amanda burst into tears and ran upstairs. Margaret stood frozen, still gripping the papers. This isn't over, she hissed. It is, I said. And if you ever step onto my property again without permission, I'll press charges. I have years of proof. After they left, Michael and I sat in silence. I'll pack my things too, he finally said. Probably best, I replied. The divorce papers are in that pile. Patricia will contact your lawyer. He looked at me, half admiring, half regretful. You really planned for everything. I had to. I said you weren't going to protect me, so I protected myself. That night, I lay in my own bed, finally at peace. The awful pink wallpaper was already peeling, revealing my sage green paint underneath. Tomorrow, I'd start fixing everything. My phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Papers filed. You're officially free. I smiled. Margaret and Amanda had thought they could take everything from me, but their biggest mistake, underestimating me. The next morning, sunlight filled my room. The house was quiet. I opened a stuck drawer on my vanity, the one they had complained about. Inside were the property documents that had sealed their fate. The best revenge isn't getting even. It's being smart, protecting yourself, and knowing when to walk away. As I pulled down the ugly wallpaper, I smiled. They had celebrated too soon, but I would celebrate the right way, by rebuilding my life exactly how I wanted.